What's up, folks? Damn, it's been a long time. I'm sure most of you are wondering, or at least some of you are wondering, what's up? Why haven't there been any videos for so long? And I just thought I'd do this quick update video. Maybe it's not going to be so quick, I don't know, but I'm just going to do an update video just to kind of get it out there and talk about what's going on, keep you guys updated so that you know that I'm still here, everything's fine. It wasn't like last year or the year before where I had that whole work thing and I just kind of disappeared. No, it's got nothing to do with that. So I had reservists for 2.5 weeks. I think I mentioned it in one of the videos, the last video or something. For those of you who are not aware, every Singapore male has to do military service once a year. They call you back for training up to 40 days a year. And so this year for me it was 2.5 weeks. And of course it's military, right? So I can't post any videos, I can't take any videos. And so yeah, that was 2.5 weeks. And then of course, as most of you know, my wife and I were expecting a baby, and she's right about third trimester right now. And first trimester is when things are a little bit dodgy. You want to be as careful as you can. And second trimester is when, if it was going to be smooth sailing, now I'm not saying pregnancy is smooth sailing, but if it were to be smooth sailing, generally the second trimester would be when it'll be the smoothest. And then of course comes the third trimester, and that's all physical right there, because that's when it everything gets big, right? And with that size comes a lot of physical complications. They're not as mobile, the aches and the pains. You know what? Any of you who are married, or if you happen to be a female and you've had kids, you know what I'm talking about. Our job in this whole equation is to just make sure the ladies are as comfortable as they can get. Just trying to jump through as many hoops as we can with the wife and make their life as easy as possible. So anyway, we've got reservists, we've got the pregnancy. The third reason, and probably one of the major reasons why I haven't posted a video recently, is actually because I haven't been fishing. Or more accurately, I haven't been able to fish recently. And the reason for that is the weather. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Singapore's climate or Singapore's weather situation, we generally have either hot season or dry or wet season. Right? A wet or dry season. I like to call it hot season or wet season because it's either raining or it's really hot. Okay, so we have 2 wet seasons a year. One is we have the northeast monsoon, and then we have the southwest monsoon. All right, the direction is, you get what I mean, right? The northeast monsoon is what we are supposed to be coming out of right now. It starts in about November. It's supposed to end in March. But as the weather reports have said, it seems like this year we're having a really late monsoon. It's been raining every single day. Like today, the weather report says it's gonna rain again. It has been raining every single day for the last 2 to 3 weeks. I don't believe there was a single day that it didn't rain. And keep in mind, I have my tackle in my car with me at work every day. And I have not been able to fish because every time I have a work break or I have the time to fish, it's been storming. I'm not talking about just a light drizzle. I'm talking about a full-on storm. And we've been getting that every single day for the last 2 to 3 weeks. So that's one of the major reasons. And the last reason, which is arguably, at least with respect to me, my channel, the biggest reason that I haven't fished much is because they closed Pandan Reservoir to fishing. Or at least, okay, you know what? I think I need to give you a bit of context here. Okay, so for those of you who follow my channel, you would know that I fish at a reservoir called Pandan Reservoir very regularly. Reason being, geographically, That's kind of where I find myself at. It's most convenient for me. There are a couple of areas that are convenient. Pandan Reservoir is one of them. And up till about, I think, a year or so ago, Pandan Reservoir is this man-made lake, right? It has two fishing jetties, on either side, right? And for the longest time, you could only fish at those two jetties. And of course, in a lake with two jetties, if fishing is only allowed there, the fishing pressure is going to dictate that you're not going to be able to catch many fish there, if you get what I mean, right? So that was the case for the longest time. And then about a year or so ago, maybe a year and a half, they opened up pretty much 75% of the entire lake or reservoir for fishing. They opened it up for fishing, and it was on trial. They want to see whether it can work, right? And well, at least from an angler's perspective, it looked like it was a great idea. It was working really well. I mean, yeah, the bite rate did drop and all that, and a lot of people actually don't like fishing at Pandan. But it worked for me. As you guys can see from my videos, it worked for me. I catch fish reliably at Pandan, and even when the bite rates were slow, I was still catching reliably. So it worked for me. And a few weeks ago, they closed it. They reverted it back to... It was like, all right, guys, trial period is over. We've concluded. Gathering feedback from the general public, from the residents around the area, and the users of the park that surrounds the lake, that fishing is not suitable, right? Or, it's a safety hazard, and we can't have fishing here. We're going to revert it back to that two-jetty system. And this, of course, happened right smack in the middle when I wasn't posting videos. So I'm pretty sure, a lot of my friends were like, dude, what do you think about that? You fish at Pandan really often. You must have something to say. And believe me, I have a lot to say about it. Quite obviously, I'm not too happy about it. But it's kind of hard to put into words what's going on here in Singapore when it comes to fishing. Okay, it's kind of hard to, on YouTube, you try not to be controversial, right? Sure, yeah, of course, some of you might say, oh yeah, you post about China tackle, that's all about being controversial. I'm talking about politically, I'm talking about legally. When you're posting publicly viewable videos, you try to be as conservative as you can. You don't want to be too controversial, not just because of YouTube's policies, but just because, because Singapore, right? It's not the most friendly place for having an opinion. So I have a lot of nasty things to say about this in my mind. And it's really hard to translate this into something that is kind of neutral, if you get where I'm coming from. But I'll try nonetheless, and whatever makes it into the video, I hope is at least coherent. Alright, so all the water in Singapore, it kind of falls within the purview of two agencies. Right, we have NParks, National Parks, as one agency, and then we have the PUB, which is the Public Utilities Board. Okay, so these two together, they pretty much govern all our water. And the current situation in Singapore isn't very friendly for fishing. It seems like no one in the government actually likes fishing. And as a result, whatever development plans they have for the parks, there's this ABC kind of, it's actually called like the ABC something, the scheme that they have set up to kind of improve our waterways. They're promoting clean water, they're promoting riverside activities. You have a scheme that is promoting our local freshwaters, our waterways, clean water, activities near the water, activities on the water, and you don't have fishing included anywhere in there. And I am of the opinion, and this is just my personal opinion, I don't claim to speak for anyone in the community except myself, when I say that I genuinely believe that the governing bodies have no clue, they haven't the slightest clue about what fishing is about, because they don't fish themselves. I genuinely believe that the upper echelons of these governing agencies haven't the slightest clue. I think the only people that understand aquaculture and fishing, or even fish in general, are maybe the scientists that are in these governing agencies. And these guys are not the ones who make the decisions, right? They are just the science guys. So this basically results in an environment that is very hostile towards fishing. The government doesn't understand fishing. The public doesn't understand fishing. Singapore is a very advanced country. Technologically, economically, whatever you want to call it. And with that comes a detachment from these nature-based activities like fishing, hiking, stuff like that. The general public doesn't know anything about that. They don't understand all these outdoor stuff, these outdoor activities, and it's easy to hate on something you don't understand. So we've got the government that's not supportive, we've got the public that doesn't understand, you've got the government being all jumpy and knee-jerk reaction whenever the public cries about something, and they're like, oh my goodness, someone's afraid of this, we're gonna react by completely banning it, because that's what Singapore does, right? Just like banning chewing gum. If it seems bad, we're just going to ban it. We're not going to bother looking into the issue and finding out whether there are other ways to compromise. There is no compromise. You either are allowed to or you're not. We are not even interested to know if there is a middle ground. And I'm sure that there are folks, especially folks in these agencies, that genuinely believe that they are trying to find a middle ground. But from the public's perspective, from a citizen's perspective, from an angler's perspective, it doesn't feel like the governing agencies are willing to engage us and try to find a workable solution. It does not feel that way, because I thought when they opened Pandan Reservoir, I thought that was a good step. It showed that they were willing to try something, right? And I'm not saying that it's a trial for a reason, right? Trials can either be successful or failures. So it's fine. You trialed Pandan and you concluded that it was a failure. Well, now trial something else, right? Don't stop there. There are so many places that one could potentially fish that is definitely not a safety hazard. The bank is situated so far away from the general public areas that it wouldn't pose a safety hazard. I used to say that Kalang was one of those places, right? I couldn't understand why the government kind of assigned us such weird and small fishing grounds in a place like Kalang Basin. But now they've closed the entire Kalang Basin. You can't fish there anymore. The high wall's gone. It's all closed off. You can't fish there. And it's because they're developing the whole place. Now they say it's temporarily closed, but everyone knows that when the government develops something, it's never temporary. Once something is developed, a hobby as rudimentary as fishing is never going to be allowed again in that area, because it's a developed area, it's a public safety hazard and stuff like that. So no more Kalang. Pandan failed the trial. There still are places that I feel, and I hope that many would agree, are suitable for fishing. What about Flyer? What about F1 pit building? What about the opposite side, Marina Barrage? Is that what it's called? I'm sorry, Gardens by the Bay. You have the side that is closer to the sports hub. The entire Marina Reservoir is littered with areas that are far enough from the public that it should not pose a safety hazard. So why not allow fishing there? I mean, why not? Why not put it on trial like you did Pandan? You know, there's so many places in reservoirs. The assignment of legal grounds in reservoirs just doesn't make sense. You care about public safety, but you put the McRitchie legal grounds within casting distance of a major kayak training ground for our schools. You're so worried about public safety, but you put a legal fishing ground barely 10 meters from the public pavement and within casting distance of a major kayak training ground. What is the logic for that? There are other places in McRitchie Reservoir that are way, way safer for the public than whatever you have assigned. Not to mention that's a 25-meter stretch. Seriously, why bother? Why bother? What is it, some token thing? You just need to check a box off your checklist? Don't worry, anglers, we didn't forget about you. You can't say we forgot about you. We gave you a legal ground right here. Honestly, you can keep your legal ground. 25 meters? Come on! I'm sure you guys can see I'm getting a bit worked up right here, but just about the only reservoir left that is genuinely fishable is Lower Seletar Reservoir. Almost all publicly accessible areas of Lower Seletar Reservoir is legal to fish. So good on you. One reservoir, that's great. And you have Bedok Reservoir, which, you know, Bedok is I don't like fishing at Bedok because I believe that fishing at Bedok Reservoir, you got to be there at the right time. You got to be lucky enough to be there at the right time when the schoolies are about and stuff, when the frenzies are happening, you know. And you'll definitely catch fish if that happens, but it doesn't happen often, you know. So Bedok is tough fishing. So you've got Bedok Reservoir, you've got Lower Seletar, right? And then you have our central catchment, which is McRitchie, Lower Pierce, Upper Seletar, and there's so many areas in the central catchment that at least from where I'm standing, certainly looks like it would qualify in the Public Safety Act. It's away from the public, you know. I take for example that area that is along Mandai Road. I'm not talking about the zoo area, right? I'm not talking about the area that is right next to the zoo. I'm talking about the area before that, right? That's just one example. I'm talking about Upper Pierce. That's another example. Why allow fishing in this little section of the entire stretch and not allow fishing in majority of the stretch? I mean, the further in you go, the further away from the public you get. But yet, that's where fishing isn't allowed. Why? I don't get it. Why? I mean, sure, some of you might say, you know what, BCSG, I've fished at that stretch before, outside of the legal grounds. And it's not like fishing is better there either. I get it. I can neither confirm nor deny that I have fished beyond that point. But I get it. But that's not the point, you see. Whether there's fish there or not isn't the point. The point is, why can't we fish there? It's not a public safety hazard. We're out of the way. And that, I guess that is the point that I'm trying to make for so many areas in Singapore. I get it if you turn around and say, we can't allow fishing in the reserve, in the jungle, because that is a safety hazard to the angler. So therefore we can't do that. I get it. Okay, it is dangerous, you know, to have kids bashing around the jungle and all that. Can neither confirm nor deny that I've done it myself. But it's I can at least agree that it is a safety hazard. All right. But what about the open areas? Like I've said, the ones near Mandai, the one in Upper Seletar Reservoir, you know, some areas around McRitchie, areas that are open areas that are publicly accessible but are away from the public walkways, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50 meters away from where the public traffic is. Why can't we fish there? In fact, when did the fishing situation in Singapore change from you can fish anywhere except where we tell you you can't. When did it change to you can't fish anywhere unless we tell you you can fish there? You know, it's one of those things you change gradually and you don't realize it till one day you wake up and you're like, holy crap. That wasn't like that 10 years ago, 15 years, it wasn't like that. How did we get to that state? Do you guys up there have so little lives that you don't even recognize fishing as a legitimate hobby? Our community is small, but our community is a passionate one. Singapore is small. Obviously our community will be small, but we're a passionate community. The fishing is good in Singapore. We have huge temenses, we have huge snakeheads in our waters. We have a nice clean country, safe country. Safe for a hobby like fishing. You don't have to worry about kids getting kidnapped whilst going out fishing. You know, in fact, we have to worry about our kids being at home playing freaking computer games, right? And you want the kids to get out more. And you don't promote an activity like fishing. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't know who's in charge up there. NEA, NParks, PUB. I don't know who's in charge, all right? But whoever's in charge, I implore you to open your eyes, take a step back, and think about it. The governing bodies shouldn't have this anti-fishing sentiment. It really shouldn't. The governing bodies should be the most educated bodies about the situation. And maybe, you know, your as the governing bodies, your defense is, we actually know more than you do. And whatever our information is suggests that fishing shouldn't be allowed here. Well, fair enough. If that is the case, fine. But at least explain it to us, engage us, talk to us, and explain why. If there is a reason, a valid reason for you to do what you do, then tell us what the reason is. And don't be afraid if you feel that the reason is so legitimate. Why are you so afraid to engage the public? Why are you so afraid to come out and explain, for example, why fishing in this area is a public safety hazard, and saying it's a public safety hazard is not an explanation? Explain. This level of engagement is not acceptable. So whoever you are who's in charge of public relations, you need to wake the hell up and do your job.
Do it! Just do it!
So anyway, so what else do I have to say? Did I quit fishing? Very, very common question. No, I didn't quit fishing. Fishing gear still in the car every day. Will I be fishing soon? I hope so. But what's next? Well, like I said, there are other places to fish. It's just sad that Pandan is closed. You know, Kranji, Bedok, Lower Seletar. There are still places to fish. I still intend to fish. There's still saltwater, Ajing and all that. You know, barely got to explore the genre. Still keen to explore it further. So hey, you know what? Maybe the fishing landscape is actually going to force me to graduate away from freshwater into saltwater, even though I clearly prefer freshwater fishing. Maybe out of just sheer necessity, sheer lack of fishing grounds, I might have to make that shift to saltwater. You know, maybe it's not a bad thing. But yeah, so I guess I really don't know what's gonna happen with my channel. I really don't know what's gonna happen with fishing, with my fishing. Obviously, if I get the chance, I'll get out there and fish. And if it's a video-friendly place, I will take a video and I will post it if it's worth posting. But I guess maybe part of the point of this video is, you know, to update you guys on what's going on, but also to tell you guys that I don't think I can keep up the regular weekly posting cycle anymore. In fact, maybe for at least next year or two, right? But rest assured that I'll fish if I can, when I can, and wherever applicable, I will post a video of that, whether it takes a week to post a video, 3 weeks to post a video, 2 months to post a video. I will definitely end up posting a video sooner or later. So anyway, I hope that this was a good update video, and keep fishing. Don't let this small community get any smaller just because the government isn't cooperative. Don't be disrespectful about it either. I know I might have sounded like I was a bit angsty in certain parts of the video. It's okay to get angsty, but it's not okay to be rude to officials from the PUB. If you ever encounter them, it's never okay to do that. You can get into a debate with them, but it's never okay to be disrespectful. So always be respectful. Understand that there are laws there for a reason. You could always walk that line, but if you want to fish illegally, you got to be prepared to be caught. Right? There are consequences to every action, so just understand that. Don't expect to be fishing illegally and get pissed off when you get caught. All right? It's kind of your fault. You were fishing illegally, right? So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video. And well, I guess my outro speech kind of still applies, right? If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down. Share my videos with your friends if you learned something. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Tight lines, guys.